I'd like to welcome you here to Edinburgh, Chris Nonis, High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, to the United Kingdom, and say how delighted we are at the Asia Scotland Institute to be able to have you here as our guest speaker this evening. I think you know a little bit about what our mission is, which is essentially to equip tomorrow's leaders in Scotland with the skills and the knowledge to embrace Asia and the Asian markets more effectively. And of course, there's no, or very few places in the world where that hasn't been done more historically than in Sri Lanka. So what I'd like to do is just ask you for your reaction to our mission, whether you commend that, and give us an idea of the things you're going to talk about in a few minutes as this room fills with your audience. So welcome.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Roddy. I think it's really a privilege to have been invited to speak here at the Royal Society, and particularly at a forum of the Asia Scotland Institute. I think they're very laudable aims. Because I think it's so important now that this is really the era of Asia, particularly with the two enormous superpowers, India and China, with all those countries around them. I think it's so important that people develop a very nuanced understanding of contemporary Asia, and I think in that context I congratulate the work that you're doing. From our perspective, of course, it's particularly significant for me to be here and address the audience here tonight, because as you know, we have a very strong link with Scotland. As you know, we had the Portuguese and the Dutch and subsequently the British, but it was those intrepid, hardworking, industrious Scotsmen that actually laid the foundation for what is today one of our greatest industries, the tea industry. If you go back to most of the old companies which still run in Sri Lanka, were all set up by a large part were set up by Scotsmen.
Such as your own.
Well, yes, but and in addition to that, of course, I think people like James Taylor, who planted the first seedlings, and then opened the first tea factory, and other people like Tommy Lipton, who actually was a grocer, but really popularized the concept of what was then known as Ceylon tea, and sort of Lipton's tea garden, as it were. And you'd be surprised to know that there's still a church, a sort of St. Andrew's Kirk in the heart of Colombo, and the Caledonian Ball still goes on.
Which I think you help organize.
in Sri Lanka. But I think there's also fertile opportunity to actually, since we have such a tremendous reservoir of goodwill between our two countries, I think it's very important now that we are in the post-conflict era in Sri Lanka to really build on that and build and forge and strengthen the bonds between our two countries.
But you're a medical man, so I know you're going to give us a diagnosis of the situation, but perhaps you could give us a projection of how Scotland and Sri Lanka and others can work together within the Commonwealth to ensure the growth and success of your country. What would be the pointers that you would emphasize going forward?
Well, I mean, as you speak about the Commonwealth, as you know, that we were one of the 8 founder member nations of the modern Commonwealth. If you go back to the London Declaration of 1949, and we've always subscribed to the twin pillars of democracy and development. We achieved universal suffrage 17 years prior to independence. We had the world's first female prime minister, and we always subscribed to the principles enshrined in the Singapore Declaration of 1971, the Harare Declaration of 1991, and of course of the Commonwealth Charter, which was signed by Her Majesty the Queen last year. And we were very, very pleased to organize and host the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, during which, and prior to which, of course, we had 3 excellent parallel fora: the Commonwealth Youth Forum in Hambantota to demonstrate our commitment to youth, the Commonwealth People's Forum in Hikkaduwa to demonstrate our commitment to civil society, and the Commonwealth Business Forum in Colombo, which was attended by the highest number of delegates in the history of the Commonwealth Business Forum, and of course the excellent executive sessions in Colombo. But the important thing is that it gave, hosting CHOGM gave us the opportunity to host and invite delegations not only from the 53 countries, but most importantly, and of course the many heads of state who came, but most importantly also the press, the world's press, who could actually come to Sri Lanka in the post-conflict era and really see for themselves the beauty and the reality of contemporary Sri Lanka, the wonderful and comprehensive reconciliation, rehabilitation, reintegration and reconstruction program that's taking place, the pluralist, to actually feel the pluralistic and inclusive society that we have in Sri Lanka, and that we are absolutely committed to the diversity, to respecting the diversity of all the different people of Sri Lanka. We recognize the wealth of Sri Lanka is in our diversity. We recognize that it is only, and that we recognize this diversity, that we give each other dignity, and providing each other with that dignity will certainly ensure a long-lasting peace in the country.
Well, to quote your words back to you, and really in conclusion,
Yeah.
I've heard you say, give peace a chance. And we're here to discuss that with you tonight. Ready to reiterate what I said before, we are absolutely delighted to welcome you to Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, for your first time in Scotland, as I understand it. Long overdue visit, and we look forward very much to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you very much, and let me at the same time have this opportunity to really give the greetings from all our Sri Lankans and all Sri Lanka to the people of Scotland, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.